Hey guys, welcome back to Waka Waka. My name is Abby, and today I'll be sharing with you guys a sit down vlog that I've been quite excited to talk about, and what it was like traveling from Nigeria to Benin Republic, crossing the border, travel requirements, our first impression of the country, everything in between, Nigeria to Benin Republic, what we actually did in the country, and what was culturally shocking for me as a Nigerian in Benin Republic. And I'll be sharing just every feeling, everything that I was looking out for, my own general knowledge. Okay, so if you're from Benin Republic, or if you're Nigerian and you want to travel through Benin Republic, I think I've got like up to 5 to 7 content I created from Nigeria and going into Benin Republic. But this is just gonna be me talking about all of these several experiences, the positives, the negatives, and what really stood out for me. So I am actually creating this content because I think I've got like 20 vlogs on my phone and there's no inspiration for me to just sit down and edit. So I was just like, what else can I do so that my YouTube channel does not go still? So this is me sitting down talking to you guys, and it's been a while really. So basically the story started when it was almost my 30th birthday, and I was like, I've always dreamed of exploring Africa properly. What can I do for myself that is gonna be worthwhile? So I did a 3-country travel from Nigeria to Benin Republic, to Togo, and then to Ghana. Of course, later on, this is going to be a different vlog entirely, where I talk about Togo separately and then also Ghana separately, and just everything that we encountered and everything that we're experiencing all of this journey. So I thought I was going to do this trip by myself, but I was lucky to find a friend to come along on these 2 weeks. So we traveled 3 countries in 2 weeks. So I know that we spent 4 days in Benin Republic, 3 days in Togo, and then a week in Ghana. So I live in Abuja. We flew from Abuja to Lagos, and then from Lagos we got to Semeboda. Now there was a town before Semeboda, and that was where I was contemplating in between taking a car or taking a bike to Semeboda. I ended up taking a bike, and I would say it was the best idea. This is not something that I actually came up with because I saw another YouTuber doing it, and I thought of, imagine trying to cross the border for 3 or 4 hours, or taking my bike, which would be like, I don't know, a 30-minute ride. And if you know anything about Semeboda, you know that that border is actually riddled with a lot of checkpoints, corrupt officers, corrupt immigration officers, and all of that. So I wanted to avoid that. That was why we took the bikes instead. And we did only got stopped once, where they checked my Nigerian passport. They were asking where we were going to before proceeding to the main Semeboda. Now on arriving at Semeboda, you're gonna get a lot of these locals coming to sell you something or proposition you. So and all of them were also offering to help us carry our bags. So I think one lesson I learned about traveling in these 3 countries was basically make sure you negotiate with these guys, these porters, right? These guys that are going to help you carry your bag or that are going to help you cross the border. Make sure you negotiate a particular price. Make sure you come to an agreement so that when you get to the other side, or there's no sort of you on the pain, or you might feel guilty about that. So you have to negotiate. We actually got lucky with the guy that helped us carry our bag to cross into Benin Republic. We didn't really negotiate with him, but with what we gave him, he really appreciated that, and we thought that we fairly paid him. So as we're about to enter the gate, some officials called us and they were asking us, oh, where are you going to? We're like, we're going to Benin Republic. And they were like, oh, can we see your identification? We'll show them our Nigerian passport. And then they were like, oh, are you COVID? Are you vaccinated? And all of that. And my friend was like, actually my friend didn't come with a COVID card, so I didn't want to show mine because I actually had my own COVID card, and I am double vaxxed already. So the dude was like, okay, why don't you pay 100 naira each? So my friend was like, 50 naira, that's what we're going to pay. So that was a bit, it was just so sketchy and so funny to see, like, these guys are, I mean, the bribes are really low, but you know, it's just the Nigerian thing that goes on, and it's so annoying, really. So we finally got into the gate. So let me just talk about the travel requirements to get into Benin Republic. So I've got here like some documentation. So this is my Nigerian passport. So my friend that I'm traveling with couldn't get hold of a passport because she was renewing the passport. So when she realized that the deadline was going to run out, so she applied for a West African travel pass, which she got in like 3 days. So I used my Nigerian passport and she used our West African travel pass. Now there were some places that we got to and the Nigerian officials were trying to like say like, oh, why are you using the West African travel pass? Where is your international passport? And she was like, well, this is also recognized, so you have to, even if you're using so this is not the only option for you. So even if you decide to use a West African travel pass, you just have to stand your ground and be like, you know, I know exactly what I'm doing. And then this is also really important. This is the yellow fever card, which I also have here. So make sure you have this, because they would make sure you have everything so that no one is trying to like fault you or trying to like look for ways to extort money out of you. Basically, I've got here my COVID vaccine card here that shows that I'm also double vaccinated. And I've got here, this is just my general immunization card of every shot that I've ever gotten. So again, you want to make sure you've got your papers correctly. You want to make sure that you've got everything right, so that nobody's looking for faults here and there, except you have time to be arguing with these guys. I also discovered that people actually cross the border illegally, so that is up to you if you want to do that. But this is us crossing the border from Nigeria into Benin Republic, and we all did it legally. Now, after crossing the whole gate there, then there's the inside part, and once you go inside, it's a long walk though. Our porter that was carrying us started taking us to Benin Republic straight up. So when I said that we were exiting the gate, I was like, hey, I want to stamp my Nigerian passport. And he was like, oh, you want to stamp it? I was like, then we have to go back. So when we got back, we got to the Benin Republic side. So they were like, oh, go to the Nigerian stamping section first. We got to the Nigerian stamping section. So you get a Nigerian stamp, and then we also got a DSS stamp, and then we also wrote our names and what we were going to do in Benin Republic and the rest. And then we went back to Benin Republic side. In the Nigerian part, we paid like maybe 2,300 each. I would put the specific amount so that you guys can see how much you paid. And then when we got to the Benin Republic side, now let's talk about the Benin Republic immigration. I have to say, like, this is like one of the most relaxed immigration officers I have ever seen. They were so friendly, they were welcoming. They were actually eating a local dish, a tapioca dish. I had like tiny dots, like white dots, and then a cream around it. And they were even offering us, which was really nice of them. But so they looked at our passport and they were like, oh, it's a Virgin passport, so you have to, so the stamping price is usually higher once it's your first time visiting Benin Republic. So we paid a higher price. But at the end of the day, the whole stamping from Nigeria to Benin Republic we didn't spend up to 10,000 naira each just to get into the country. So after doing all of that, we got outside, and once you exit the gate, you see this man changing money. So we changed some money. Changing money at the border was actually the best way to got, because as we traveled into the country, the rate got worse. So you might want to change some money and make sure you keep your money safe. Thing about Benin Republic currency or their monetary system was basically they still use coin. The highest currency in the country is 10,000 sefa, which we had a lot of difficulty using while traveling in the country, because it's 10,000 sefa, and that means that we had to always look for change a lot. So when you're changing your money at the bureau de change close to the border, make sure they give you enough change, as in go as low as 5,000 instead of 10,000 sefa, because it was always, oh, we don't have change, oh, well, let's look for change here and there. So make sure they break the money down for you before going fully into the city. We bought some SIM cards, of course. There is Flus and then there is MTN. I bought MTN SIM card, and when you're buying SIM card in Benin Republic, you have to show your passport or a means of identification. After doing that, we also bought some internet on our phone, and then we went to buy some chargers, because the setting of the plug is totally different from what we have in Nigeria. So we had to get that, and that was where we got scammed, because on getting to our hotel, we realized that the plug wasn't working, and the person that actually sold this plug to us was actually a Nigerian trader, which was so pathetic, really. We did got scammed in these 3 countries by two different Nigerians. We should tell you, I am Nigerian, we should tell you a lot about our people, really. So you have to be very careful when you're transacting with Nigerians outside of Nigeria, or even in Nigeria, basically. So we got a taxi and we headed into the town. On our way, I realized that, you know, yeah, the scenery was beautiful, the drive was, it wasn't the most beautiful day, but it was just, okay, new country, energy everywhere, we were both excited. And then I realized, like, why are there so many roundabouts in Benin Republic? From one roundabout to another, to another, to another. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I have never seen that much of a roundabout, and the proximity to each other is quite close, really. So that's one, okay? Expect roundabouts everywhere. Number 2, I was actually really impressed by, when we were going into the city, the bike lane. I have never seen that anywhere. I'm sure maybe in some countries I have never been to, they have like bike lanes, but I know what it is like, bikers in Nigeria driving across the express and just driving anyhow. But it's so nice to see that the government are considerate enough to create bike lanes for their bikemen, or because I also noticed that a lot of people use bikes in Benin Republic and everyone was wearing their helmet. I was so impressed by that already. And then I noticed that throughout our travel in the country, I rarely see policemen on the road or any traffic officials, just like, you know, how we have a lot of them in Nigeria here. No point where I got to and somebody was putting a plank across the road to check, you know, for passport or this and that. Once you cross into the border, it's all freeway. There was a time I was speaking to the driver and I was like, you barely see police on the main road stopping you or trying to ask for any identification, but they're actually police on the road, but they're not so obvious as what we have back in Nigeria. I have to say, throughout my stay in Benin Republic, the 4 days that we did explore, we are basically 2 women, right, traveling in an African country. I don't even feel this safe in Nigeria, but I felt safer in Benin Republic. That was how much I enjoyed just my stay, my travel within the country. It was super safe. I spent time on the beach by myself with my friend. Nobody was trying to disturb us. And for the first time in a long time, I could really relax and just let go and be myself. That was how free I was in Benin Republic. The second day that we started exploring, we did a city tour. So we went to the cathedral that was not far from our hotel, a beautiful structure. Please check it out. We went to the market, you know, just a normal African market, and we did saw a lot of items that were like super cheap, okay, like, you know, jewelry. My friend bought a lot of jewelries and rings. I'm not much of a buyer when I'm traveling. Like, I just stick to like 1 or 2 items and that's about it. So she bought a lot of stuff. We went through the market, and one thing I really enjoyed about Benin Republic, I think it's because of the close proximity to Nigeria. Even though we do not speak French, we came across a lot of people that spoke. Came across a lot of Yoruba people, a lot of Igbos, a lot of Hausas, people that, you know, spoke the language that we did understand. Because even for me and my friend, we do not speak any French at all, which is the major language that is being spoken in Benin Republic. We did try to use Google Translator, but it was to no avail. So sometimes when we're going around and then we hear somebody speak Yoruba, of course I'll approach them, say hello to them, and then, please, we're going to so please, can you please tell this bright man? And then they would help us interpret, and then we'll go to our next destination. One other trick that we use while going around, even though we didn't speak the language, was to show the bikemen pictures. During the planning, I had screenshots of places that we wanted to see. So sometimes you might be trying to say it, they might not really get it. So I'll just show them a picture, and then I'll be like, how much? Like, you know, how much it is? And they'll be like, oh, 400. And I'll be like, 250. Okay, it is 250. And they're like, okay, let us, how about 300? So one thing you also have to do, is still an African country, so make sure you're negotiating, okay? Make sure you do negotiate. Now, to the bikemen, we used a lot of bikes in Benin Republic, traveling, even in we use a lot of bikes, all right? So the bikemen are usually in yellow. You see them everywhere, yellow, okay? So that's their designated uniform, which is quite good, you know, so you can tell between a private biker and a public one, really. And one other shocking thing for me in Benin Republic was, when we were doing the city tour, we got to a park in the city where I had never seen that amount of bikes before in my life, and that was the roughest ride. It was insane. Everyone was just driving crazy in this part of the town. I was like, okay, forget bike lane right now. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay. So that is one thing basically, so watch out for that. We did use a lot of bikes and it saved us a lot of money, okay, going from here to there, there and there. Believe me, it will save you a lot of money too. The next day we did, another place we visited was Janvier, which is a must-see, okay? Make sure you go to Janvier. Amazing cultural experience, hearing about the stories of the people and how they escaped from slavery. From Janvier, the next day we went to Porto-Novo, where we went to the Museo de Silva, we did Zambeto House, we did then we went to the Grand Mosque, and then we now went to the Black River, where we tried the local alcohol that was around 70%, and then we did palm wine. We chatted with, I have to say that just even going to the local region, it was just a walk in the park. It was just like, I don't get this, you know, traveling. I did travel in Nigeria a lot. I don't get that amount of freedom, and just it was, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when you're traveling in Benin Republic. It was amazing. It was a beautiful experience. Then the third day we headed to Ouidah. We did not take a bike to Ouidah, we took a car to Ouidah. When we got to Ouidah town, so the taximan was saying he would take us to our hotel Casa de Papa for around 15,000 or 10,000 sefa, and we're like, oh no, it's too expensive, blah blah. So we negotiated with the bike men and they decided to take us for, is it 1,500 each. So it's a 45-minute bike ride. It was the road to that place is really bad, so I totally understand why the taxman was quoting that amount of money. We took the bike, but I have to say that was one of the best things I have ever done, okay? The trip to Casa, of course we stayed at Casa de Papa, but it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Beautiful coastal African country along the Atlantic, stretch of white beach, palm trees, friendly locals. As in, you know, the first sight of like going there, the first sighting just made me fall in love with being African, traveling around Africa. I just developed this new love entirely for you know, that was my favorite thing about traveling in Benin Republic. Casa de Papa, the ride to the place. Once we got to the hotel, so I asked the security guard, I was like, I'm going to the Snake Temple, and I was like, oh, then you have to go back again to Ouidah town because that's where it is. So the mistake was basically, if I had gone from the Ouidah Park to the Snake Temple, and then from the Snake Temple to the point of no return, and then go to Casa de Papa, that would have just been, that's how it's supposed to be, but not me going to Casa de Papa first, coming back again, and that for 5-minute ride, going to the Snake Temple, going to the point of no return, and then going back to Casa. So I did it three times, but you know what, I have the energy for it. It's a mistake, I will never make it again, but God, the scenery was totally worth that ride. Basically, Benin Republic people are super friendly, okay? Like, this is like one of the warmest African country I have ever been to. It's a small country, which of course is no doubt, when it comes to tourism locations and the rest, they do not have up to what we have in Nigeria, but these guys are so smart that they're able to, you know, monetize and make sure their people make money from tourism, and they sell it so well that, you know, everywhere we went to, we had to pay. There's a specific rule for this, there's a specific rule for that everyone has to follow. I was so jealous because, you know, I am Nigerian. I'm like, we have a lot more in our country and nobody is doing anything about it. Nobody is monetizing it. Nobody is selling these ideas to our people. Like, I felt really sad about, you know, the whole thing. It was more of a re-education, and that is what traveling, that is what it does, you know. God, we have so much back home and nobody cares about it because of insecurity and so much more that people are not even talking about, or people are even scared to go out there. I think one thing that I did regret not doing, and because of the time frame, basically I didn't really try the local food, and we stayed at a resort, so it was more of pizza, pasta and burgers and anything I could just easily eat without no stress at all. So I do kind of feel bad that I didn't get to try the local food. So if I'm going back to Benin Republic, that is something I'll definitely be doing. And if I get another opportunity to go back again, I'll probably spend another week, just create a week schedule. And the first thing I would do, aside from trying the local food, is go through another border. I heard that there's another border at Idiroko, and it is super easy to go through that border. So that would be a different experience entirely. Then I want to go to the northern region of the country where they have waterfalls. Then I want to go to, there's another part of the country. Actually, when we were going to Togo, on our way, we came across a beautiful beaches like I have never seen. Like this place is a dream. So I'll definitely be exploring those regions. And I know that Benin Republic definitely has some new tourist attractions that I would love to see. And then what else? Let's talk about the men and the women. So I did encounter a Beninois guy at the beach, and basically I was, you know, one of the days I was leaving the beach and the guy was trying to talk to me, and my normal response anywhere in the world, it doesn't really matter, it's just to ignore. Okay, he was like, hey, and I was like, I just turned, and then I just kept walking. So he now accosted my friend, and he was telling my friend that, why don't you tell your friend that I love her? And I was like, seriously? You just met me less than 5 minutes ago and you're telling me that you love me? I did come across a lot of beautiful Benin Republic women, stunning, like beautiful, but I didn't get to see a lot. Let's say it's a place I'm spending a month, of course, yeah, then I can really say, but I did just a short time. I got to see a lot of beautiful women. Then I, like, going through the city, I did saw a lot of older people, like older men with bike men, like super, like, you know, in Nigeria here we have a lot of young guys riding the bikes, but I did saw a lot of older, like most of our people were men and much older. So that's that one thing that I actually omitted in the first video I made about Benin Republic was basically the voodoo practice in the country. Like, it is well known, it is widespread, and the people are really proud of it. And everywhere you go around the country, you can see sacrifices, you can see people serving whatever it is that they do. So for you as a Nigerian that is probably so religious and so into Christianity and all of that, that may be a huge turn off for you when you're traveling in the country. I didn't find it upsetting at all. I'm this person that is always looking for knowledge and also always looking into history, so I was a bit curious about that. So if you notice, all of my tours, I went to the voodoo temple here and there, and of course I didn't have any problem with that at all. So if you feel like you're gonna have a problem with that, well, just try to avoid that when you are visiting Benin Republic. But most of the time you might just come across it without even knowing that it is there. So that is one. The other thing that I am so excited to talk about is basically, as you're going into the country and you look at the buildings, okay, in Cotonou, I also did notice that in Porto-Novo was basically how old the buildings were. Like, nobody was renovating, there were almost no new structure anywhere. Everything was so old, and I feel like everyone got a memo to like not renovate their buildings. Everywhere you go in Benin Republic, everything looks so old. I don't know why that is, but it just gave the whole place a different vibe entirely, like a total vintage look. So you probably want to look out for that in your trip to Benin Republic. I think in a final note, as any Nigerian that has, you know, that want to probably visit Benin Republic, I just had to push myself. Okay, I was like, you know what, let me just do it, let me just do this trip. So if you're looking for a push, this video is a sign for you to actually visit Benin Republic. A lot of Nigerians, even in the marketplace, you could hear some guys speaking Igbo and the rest, so you will definitely see that. I think that's about it really about Benin Republic. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next one. Bye.